Hello, I'm Jason Schwenk, and today we're going to talk about attitudes towards children during the era of expansion. Let's get into it. Some scholars claim that due to high mortality rates, parents did not care for their children with the expectation that they would die early on. It was a very reasonable expectation. Many children died young back then. Parents are well aware of the dangers of infancy. As one notable example, historian Edward Gibbon's father named all 5 of his children Edward, with the eldest and future historian being the only one that survived to adulthood. However, historians nowadays believed that parents did cherish their children and experienced extreme anguish when they died. In a society characterized by much violence and brutality, discipline of children was often severe. Susanna Wesley, the mother of John Wesley, said that the first task of a parent is, and I quote, to conquer the will and bring them to an obedient temper, I quote. She also reported that her babies were taught to fear the rod and to cry softly, by which means they have escaped the abundance of correction they might otherwise have had, and that most odious noise of the crying of children was rarely heard in the house. The children were beaten for lying, stealing, disobeying, quarreling, and they were forbidden for playing with the other neighbors' children. Starting around 1760, critics called for greater tenderness towards children, such as urging the women to nurse their babies and to dress children more comfortably instead of dressing them in what was essentially miniature versions of adult clothing. Enlightenment educators also advocated the safeguarding and developing of children's inequalities rather than simply just thwarting and suppressing them. A well-known Enlightenment thinker, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, argued that the boys' education should include plenty of fresh air and exercise, as well as practical craft skills in addition to book learning, while girls should be educated on their future domestic responsibilities, as in his eyes, he believed that women's nature destined them solely for a life of marriage and child-rearing. Sentimental ideas of Rousseau and other reformers were enthusiastically adopted by elite women, some of whom began to nurse their own children. That is all. Goodbye.